Hi, I'm Tony. I'm 37, a divorced dad, and last week I sent my own mother an invoice for $7,432. It started with name tags. Not the cute, hello my name is, ones with little smiley faces. These were printed, laminated, and slapped on my kids like labels at a yard sale. Tony, cleaner. Jake, cleaner's kid. Lily, cleaner's kid. No seats, no food, no table, and definitely no mistake. My mom and her new husband Rick made it crystal clear we were help. You're not on the guest list like that, she'd said, brushing imaginary lint off my shoulder like she hadn't just kicked me and my kids down to staff level. Food is for family. She said it twice, like the words weren't a knife dressed up as a lullaby. So I pulled off the ring she gave me when I turned 18, back when she still called us a circle, and I handed it back. Then we're no longer your family. I walked my kids out the side door. That was the only door anyone ever opened for us anyway, and I thought that was it. But the thing about finally standing up after a lifetime of bending is, it's addictive. The next morning, I woke up in the apartment where the pipes hiss and my kids' laughter bounces off the chipped walls like it's made of sunshine. I made pancakes. Jake asked, did Grandma mean it? That food thing? I lied. Then I checked my Venmo, my texts, my bank. The wedding venue had charged me the full $600 cleaning fee they'd waived because my company did it. Rick must have forgotten to pay, and something inside me didn't snap. It just stood up. So I did what I've done for every other client who treats me like an extra in their show. I sent an invoice. Itemized, dated, documented. 3 years of favors. 1 unpaid bar deposit. 10 move-out cleanings. Weekly house spruce-ups. All of it, down to the last roll of paper towels I bought with my own card. $7,432. Due on receipt. My accountant Mark said, it's about time. My crew said, want us to sign it too? Then the phone started ringing. Mom, you're dead to me if you think I'm paying this. Rick, you got jokes, buddy. My aunt. Your mom's crying in the bathroom. I didn't reply. I made Lily a towel for it instead. And then things really started to change. The thing about pulling the plug on a lifelong performance is the lights don't just go out. They flicker. People scramble. Someone yells, intermission, and they expect you to come back. Mom didn't pay the invoice, obviously, but she did send a list of all the things she'd done for me over the years, formatted like it came from a lawyer. Gave you life. Let you live rent-free, at age 12. Paid for your school supplies, some years. Watched the kids once when you had the flu. At the bottom, she'd written, family doesn't keep score. I stared at that line for a long time. Not because it hurt, but because it was familiar. It's the line she always used right after taking something she didn't intend to give back. So I printed out the invoice again, folded it neatly, and slid it into a drawer next to the warranty paperwork for my vacuum, and the one drawing Lily did of me holding a mop in one hand and a dragon shield in the other. The real turning point came 2 days later. It was Sunday, the day I used to spend driving to Mom's, scrubbing down a house where my kids weren't allowed to sit on the good couch. The house smelled like lemon cleaner and control. It always made my back tense before I even parked. This Sunday, we were home. I made waffles, because Jake said pancakes were for weekdays and I like that he's developing standards. Lily spilled syrup on the floor and said, oops, we'll clean it together. Together. That word hit me like a fresh breeze in a sealed room. I looked around. No buzzing phone. No guilt-tripped texts. No loud voice asking why I couldn't be more helpful. Just my kids, sticky hands, and a kitchen full of sunlight and syrup footprints. Later, we went to the park. Not because we were killing time before another family obligation, but because we wanted to. Jake raced a kid on a scooter. Lily tried to befriend a duck. I sat on a bench and didn't check my phone once. Until it buzzed. Rick. He'd Venmo'd me $100 with a note. Here's your damn cleaning fee. Tell your staff to lighten up. I showed Jake. What does that mean? He asked. I said, it means sometimes grown-ups don't know when to shut up. Jake nodded like I'd just handed him the secret to the universe. Then he said, we're not staff, right? No, buddy, I said. We're the whole team. And from that bench, with duck poop nearby and the sun making everything just a little too warm, I realized something that cracked me open in the best way. This wasn't rock bottom. This was ground level. And we were finally free to build. 3 days after Rick sent the $100 with that smug little memo, I got an email. Subject line, venue referral opportunity, urgent. It was from the manager of the wedding venue. The same guy who watched me walk out with my kids through the side door, holding a bucket in one hand and my dignity in the other. He'd seen everything, and he was still contacting me. Tony, it read, heard what happened. You left with grace, didn't cause drama. made our lives easier. We respect that here. Can you take over bi-weekly post-event cleanings? $750 per. Reliable vendor needed. I read that email 5 times. My company had just been handed the kind of gig that paid invoices on time, with a contract and everything. I replied yes before my nerves could talk me out of it. Then I sat back in the van and laughed. Out loud. Alone. Like a guy who just found an extra fry at the bottom of the bag and realized he might be allowed to win something for once. That same afternoon, I bought my crew lunch. Real lunch. Sit-down burgers with extra onion rings and no coupons. You okay, boss? Tina asked between bites. I think I might be, I said. The next day, my ex called, which usually means something's gone sideways at school or someone forgot a lunchbox again. But this time, she just said, I saw the photos. From the wedding. Oh, I said, bracing. I'm sorry, she said. For what they did to you. To the kids. I waited for the but. It didn't come. Then she added, I've been telling you for years. You always thought things would change. I didn't argue. Because she was right. I had believed that if I just kept showing up, kept being useful, kept forgiving, the math would eventually work out. That they'd see me. They never did. You doing okay? She asked. I looked at Lily, drawing a picture of a stick figure table labeled our table. I looked at Jake, reading a comic with his socks half off like he'd been mid-tornado. Better than I've been in a long time, I said. And I meant it. That night, I pulled up the family group chat. Rick had sent a photo of a half-eaten cake with the caption, should have stayed, Tony. Cake was fire. Below it, Mom, I put out place cards for the kids after. You didn't wait long enough. Uncle Tom, one day isn't about you, man. Grow up. Aunt Lisa, your mother is heartbroken. Happy now? Then something new popped up. My sister, the one who never texts in that chat. The one who lives 4 states away and stays out of everything. She wrote. He asked where his kids would sit. He got silence. He got tags. He got disrespected. Stop pretending this is about cake. And that was it. Just one message. But in that moment, it was like someone cracked open a window in a house that's been sealed shut for years. I didn't reply. Didn't need to. Because something had shifted. Not in them. In me. They could keep their chairs, their silence, their guilt-shined platitudes. I had my kids. I had my company. And for the first time in my life, I had a door that wasn't locked from the outside. The first time I dropped my kids off at school after the wedding, I half expected judgment. You know the kind, tight-lipped smiles from the PTA moms, that slight side eye, like you've aired family laundry with a megaphone. But instead, I got a nod from the assistant principal and a sticky note from Jake's teacher that just said, glad you're protecting your kids. That note sat on my dash for a week. By Friday, I had a voicemail from Rick. I didn't even open it. The transcript popped up automatically. Grow up. You think you're special? You're a cleaner. That's all you'll ever be. I deleted it and vacuumed a church gymnasium that smelled like old sneakers and denial. Tina danced with the floor buffer like she was in a Broadway revival and yelled over the hum. You ever miss being invited to places where you weren't welcome? I laughed so hard I choked on my coffee. That weekend, I got my first paycheck from the venue contract. Full amount. No nonsense. Paid ahead of schedule. I stared at the transfer confirmation for a long time. Then I did something I hadn't done in years. I looked at office spaces. Small ones. Ones with peeling paint and creaky plumbing. But a real front door that didn't say staff in trance. Just the idea of a sign that said Tony's Cleaning Company out front made my ribs loosen. I told Jake, we might get a little office. He asked, will there be snacks? I said, only if you're on payroll. Lily raised her hand. Can I be the boss? You already are, I said. Sunday came around again, and with it, silence from the family chat. Not even a guilt meme. Just digital dust. I didn't miss it. Instead, I took the kids to a diner. The kind with cracked red booths and syrup bottles that never get fully clean. We ordered breakfast like it was a celebration. Jake put his paper placemat on the table and wrote, our table, in big block letters. He said, nobody can take this one, right? I said, nope. This one's ours forever. The waitress smiled like she'd heard the whole thing. She brought extra whipped cream. No charge. That night, I found an envelope slipped under my apartment door. No return address. Inside was the ring. The one I gave back at the wedding. My mom's circle. Taped to it was a note in handwriting I'd recognize anywhere. I didn't mean it like that. That's it. No apology. No reflection. Just that. I sat at the kitchen table for an hour, holding the ring like it might give me the right words. Then Jake came in and said, Dad, can we make pancakes again? And that was the answer. I slid the ring into the junk drawer next to expired coupons and batteries that might still have juice. Some circles aren't worth completing. The week the invoice hit day 14, I sent one reminder. No drama. No caps. Just subject, friendly reminder, invoice number 0412. Hi. As discussed, payment was due on receipt. Let me know if you need another copy. Tony. I sent it while sitting in my van outside a rental I was cleaning for a new client who greeted me with, "You were highly recommended." Which is how you know somebody actually respects your work. They recommend you quietly, not just when they need a favor. The reply came 4 hours later. From Mom. You're punishing me for a misunderstanding. What kind of son sends a bill to his own mother? I stared at the message for a full minute. Then I closed the email and opened my accounting app instead. I logged a note under her name. Response: emotional leverage. No payment. No resolution. Mark for collections. Emotional only. Then I made dinner for my kids and didn't think about her again until Lily came out of her room holding an old photo. It was from when she was 2. Her in a frilly dress, frosting on her nose. Mom kneeling beside her with a smile so polished it could have been glass. Is this a happy picture? Lily asked. I looked at it. It looked happy, but I remembered that day. Mom threw the party at her house, invited neighbors I didn't know, and spent more time arranging the cake table for Instagram than talking to Lily. She told me to go clean the guest bathroom because someone had left water spots on the faucet. I'd missed the candle blowing. Not really, I said. Lily nodded and slipped the photo into a shoebox labeled Old Things. She's got a system for sorting memories now. Good box, sad box, confusing box. I think she gets that from me. That same night, I got a message from my sister again. She wrote, "She's telling people you threatened her, that you blackmailed her with the invoice." I replied, "I itemized 3 years of free labor and asked to be treated like a human. If that's blackmail, then I've been doing crime since high school." She sent back, "Just wanted you to know. I've got your back, quietly." I looked at that word, quietly, and felt something strange. Peace. Like backup doesn't have to be loud to be real. The next morning, Jake asked if we were ever going back to Grandma's house. I said, "Not for a while." He thought about that. "Okay," he said. "Can I have chocolate chips in my pancakes?" "Double," I said, "and whipped cream." That afternoon, I bought 3 matching mugs from a thrift store. They say "Family is forever" in a font that looks suspiciously like Comic Sans. I gave one to each of the kids and kept the third in the van. Not because I believe in forever the way Mom meant it, but because I believe in the family you build. One mug, one breakfast, one invoice at a time. Day 21. That's how long the invoice sat unpaid in their inbox before I marked it delinquent. Not because I needed the money right that second, but because marking it wasn't about the money anymore. It was about the math, the emotional kind. The kind that adds up over years and leaves you with a balance of "we were never going to treat you better, no matter how much you gave." My accountant Mark called that morning. "You want to escalate it?" he asked. "To who?" I said. "Collections for spiritually bankrupt relatives?" He laughed. "Hey, if you start that service, sign me up." Then he paused and added, "But seriously, you did the right thing." Hearing it out loud, from someone with no stake in the drama, felt like closing a drawer that had been stuck open for years. That night, I got a call from an unknown number. I was elbow deep in a bathtub that smelled like someone had tried to fight mildew with denial. I answered out of habit. It was the venue coordinator. "Hi, Tony," she said, voice tight. "I didn't want to be involved, but your mom and Rick are trying to block your contract with us." I didn't speak. Just let the silence sit. She continued. "They told our owner you walked out mid-wedding and left a mess. That you're unreliable." I exhaled slowly. "And what did you say?" I told him I was there. I told him the mess was emotional, not physical. "You left the place cleaner than most full-service vendors." She hesitated. "And I told him if we dropped you, I'd quit." That silence this time, that was me holding back a full-chest kind of laugh. "Thank you," I said, and meant it. "You're good at what you do," she said. "You just happen to be related to people who think dignity is optional." When I hung up, I looked at Jake doing his homework on the floor and Lily trying to wrap a towel around our cat like it was royalty. And then I walked over to the junk drawer. I pulled out the ring. I held it one last time, and I didn't think about what it used to mean. I thought about what it cost. Then I dropped it into a Tupperware of used batteries I was taking to the recycling center. A week later, it was gone. Off my hands. Off my story. In its place, a different kind of circle. Me, Jake, Lily, and a team of coworkers who cheered when I told them we were keeping the venue gig. With a raise. Turns out, when you stop letting people define your worth, the people who do see it, they show up with contracts, not lanyards. Day 30. Officially overdue. I marked the invoice written off, client non-payment. And in the notes, I typed one final line. Lesson paid in full. I didn't send another message. No follow-up. No threats. Just logged the loss, closed the tab, and made pancakes with chocolate chips because Jake said Tuesdays were secretly special and needed celebration. Lily agreed, mostly because she got to crack the eggs. At 2:17 p.m. that day, while I was vacuuming under an Airbnb bed that looked like it hosted a wrestling match between glitter and regret, my phone buzzed. It was an email. Subject line: "We need to talk." From Mom. I let it sit. By dinner, another message came. Then another. Then finally, "I miss my grandchildren. You're punishing me for something small." I read that one twice. 3 times. Because when someone tells you that treating your kids like props at a wedding is something small, they're not just minimizing. They're warning you that they haven't changed. I didn't reply, but I did print that email and pin it to the corkboard above my desk. Right next to the "Family is Forever" mug quote Jake wrote on notebook paper and Lily decorated with glitter glue. I'd started calling the mug trio the real board of directors. They make better decisions. Friday night, I took the kids bowling. We wore matching team shirts Lily made with fabric markers. Jake said cleanup crew captain. Mine said CEO of pancakes. Hers just said boss. All caps. Pink sparkles. At the snack bar, we ran into Mrs. Grant from downstairs. She patted my arm and said, "Heard a bit of what went down. Proud of you. You're protecting your babies." She handed Lily a roll of quarters and said, "You win something nice, sugar." Then added, "Also, the vending machine in the lobby still owes me a Snickers, so you can consider that reimbursement." Lily saluted her like a general. Later that night, after they fell asleep in the car, heads lolling against each other like puppies in a basket, I carried them up the stairs one at a time, tucked them in, and stood in the quiet hum of our apartment for a while. Not waiting for a text. Not waiting for permission. Just being. Then my phone buzzed. It was my sister. FYI, Rick's in trouble. His construction company got flagged for a bunch of violations. Word is the city might fine him heavy. I blinked at the message. Let it land. Then, Mom asked if you'd loan him the business credit card. Says you owe the family that much. I laughed. Out loud. For real. Like the kind of laugh that wipes off years of dust from the soul. I typed back. Tell her this time I'm sending a different kind of invoice. The next morning, I sat down at my laptop with a cup of coffee and a very specific kind of joy. The quiet, slightly petty, wholly earned kind. The kind you only get when someone who tried to humiliate you comes crawling back through the same door they slammed shut. I opened a fresh invoice template. Not because I was going to send it. Because I wanted to see it. Client. M. Cole and R. Jennings Construction Company. Services rendered. Years of unpaid labor, emotional manipulation, wedding day humiliation, generational gaslighting, and public disrespect. Subtotal. Your dignity, whatever's left of it. Tax. Absolutely. Total due. Access revoked. Permanently. I clicked save. Printed it. Tacked it to the corkboard next to the glitter quote and the overdue email and that dumb laminated name tag that said Tony, cleaner. Then I did something better than send it. I opened my bookings folder. We were full. Fully booked for the next 3 months. Back to back with new clients. Word had gotten around. Tony's team was thorough, respectful, honest. One bride wrote in a review. He saved my sanity when everything else went sideways. I'd trust him with my life and my wedding dress. That same day, the venue coordinator called again. We're launching a preferred vendor list, she said. You're top of it. You sure? I mean, some people think I cause a scene. She snorted. Tony, the only scene you caused was showing my staff how professionals handle being treated like dirt and still walking out clean. We signed a year-long deal. Enough work to cover every birthday party, and then some. I bought a whiteboard. Jake helped label it. Lily insisted on doodling a mop with googly eyes in the corner. She named him Sir Clean-a-Lot. The day the first check from that deal hit my account, I took the kids to a diner. Not the fancy kind. The kind with chipped mugs and booths that squeak. Our kind of place. Jake slid into the booth and said, You know, Dad, this is kind of our thing now. What is? Pancakes. Diner booths. Winning. I smiled. Yeah, I guess it is. Lily raised her cup of chocolate milk like a toast. To our table. We clinked our drinks together. Plastic lid to coffee mug to syrup-covered straw. And that's when I realized. We didn't just leave that wedding. We left their version of family. The one with conditions and roles and assigned seats. We built our own. No lanyards. No crates by the kitchen door. No waiting for someone else to decide if we were welcome. We sit where we choose. We eat first. We clean up only after ourselves. We're not the help. We're the whole damn team. And we're just getting started.